contact with somebody from one of the big four. Ended up becoming kind of a mentor to me. He's now a member of our club.
Man, when I first saw my first Hell's Angel standing there, I was like, that's what I want to be, man.
If you're running a three-piece, just like you know, it is truly an outlaw standard. Doesn't make you a one percenter, but it makes you an outlaw.
This is what I believe in, you know, and it was awesome to see that my brothers believed in me.
It's the wolf leading the sheep, man. You know, the sheep need to open their eyes because they're about to walk off the cliff where the whole other pack of wolves are at the bottom.
If you were getting your lunch money taken before you put them rags on, if they catch you by yourself, they're going to take your lunch money again.
I try to be around the guys and hang out with them as much as possible and get to know them, because that's really what it's about.
The Hells Angels are being arraigned.
One man was stabbed in the chest, another was knocked out, who faced criminal charges, including charges of hate crimes as well as gang allegations. One defendant faces an attempted murder charge, so this certainly appears to be a widespread investigation.
Welcome to this episode of Chatting with Stacks. I'm your host, Bill Stacks, and today we're going to talk about 8 years later after this murder. But we got a lot of other things to talk about. There's so many different things going on, and we're going to touch on them all. Before we get started, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can get my videos every time they drop. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Tell your mother's brother's sister's friend about Chatting with Stacks, the dopest motorcycle content on YouTube. I appreciate all you guys taking the time to watch this show. We hit 19,900 subscribers. We are on the road to 20,000. Looks like we're going to hit that before we get to the new year. And I'm very appreciative to all you guys that watch the show. I couldn't do it without all of you that support me, and I really appreciate it. If you want to help out the show and donate, you can hit up the Cash App at Chatting with Stacks, or you can hit me up on Venmo, PayPal, Super Sticker, Super Chat, Zelle, all that good stuff. Every dollar goes right back into the content to bring you guys more exclusive stuff. And if you want to tell your story on Chatting with Stacks, just email me at billstacks2021@gmail.com, and we'll make it happen. So there's a lot of new interviews that I've been doing. I've been trying to get more exclusive interviews of people who have not been out yet. You know, a lot of people get interviews from people that are recycled and on everybody's platform. I'm not trying to do that. I'm trying to get people who are that never even been on the internet before, and I've achieved it. So I have some good ones coming up of some people who have never done interviews, and they tell me their story first. And that's the type of stuff that I'm trying to bring you guys. People who don't even know how to work the internet. It took a while to try to help them to figure it out, but we got it going. And one of the interviews I did, matter of fact, yesterday was 3 hours long. 3 hours. And it's good. Like, it's really good. And he was a major player within a top 1% club. He was a president. And he explained a lot to me. And that one's going to be coming out soon. We have a documentary in the works. A major documentary. It's incredible, the footage that we have so far. And it's just, I can't wait to show you guys. It'll be available next year on a major platform. Pavley, what's going on? Shout out to Punch, the executive producer. It's not 18,000, it's 19,000. Right? 19,000, I believe, right? 19,900. Mountain Woman, how are you? Thank you for joining me today. STMC, what's good? Yeah, we passed the 18,000 mark, I believe. Let me double check. Oh no, 18,000. Yeah, we'll hit 20,000 very soon. Ken, how you doing? Thank you for joining me today. Eddie, what's good? Or no, we're at 18,900. But I'm pretty sure we will hit 20,000 by Christmas, New Year's, and we're on a steady path to that. Eddie, what's good? How are you? Thank you for joining me today. Craig, how are you? Good morning. Wydell, we got Wydell in the house. I always see Wydell over on Patreon. Go check out Patreon for exclusive content you can't get anywhere else. You cannot get the content on Patreon that's on YouTube. It's just I can't post it here because of certain reasons, you guys know. Anyway, we got a bunch of major announcements to talk about. And we have some oh man, we got some wild stories for you guys. So there was a crash involving motorcycle cops. Isn't that too bad? Fucking dudes, they don't even know how to ride. So there was a crash while they were participating in a charity event. Isn't that too bad? So the video is on Patreon. You guys can see it. It's quite hilarious. So 2 motorcycle cops injured in crash during procession on I-95 in Penn's Landing. Philadelphia, 2 motorcycle cops were injured in a crash on I-95 in Philadelphia during a procession for a charity on Thursday morning. Chopper 6 was overhead when the motorcade, when the crash happened just before 8 a.m. on I-95 southbound between Washington Avenue and Christian Street near Penn's Landing. Fucking dickhead didn't see a truck and smashed into the rear of a truck. So one officer on a motorcycle swerved to avoid a broken down van in the left lane on I-95. You know what they're trying to do? They're trying to ride like outlaw bikers. They're trying to ride like motorcycle club guys in procession. But they're just not that type of people. You know what I'm saying? They can't handle it. So, as the officer spun out, another swerved to avoid hitting him. Both officers, one from Upper Dublin and the other from Abington, suffered minor injuries. The crash caused a temporary backup along the highway in Christian Street and Washington Avenue. The motorcade of police officers was on the way to a WMMR Preston and Steve Camp Out Hunger event at a sports complex. After the injured officers were attended to, the procession finished its journey to the event. I think that I can play you the newscast of the situation. So let me see if I can get that for you guys. But this was dominoes. Straight up dominoes. Here, let me get the video for you guys.
The police motorcade mishap on the highway. 2 officers went down after they lost control on I-95 southbound this morning. They were on their way to support WMMR's Camp Out for Hunger.
Chopper 6 was overhead between Washington Avenue and Christian Street when the officers went down. We have learned those 2 are members of the Upper Dublin and Abington police forces. Action News reporter Maggie Kent is live for us now South Philadelphia with the full details. Maggie.
Well, guys, obviously this is a great community event, and the officers involved were actually collecting cans and dried goods for a while to bring them out here to Camp Out to Hunger. Of course, they were involved in something much more scarier during rush hour this morning. 2 motorcycle officers down in the middle of I-95 South during the morning rush hour.
Especially when you ride on a motorcycle, it's inherently dangerous. Unfortunately, there are a lot of different hazards on the highway or with other vehicles.
Chopper 6 was overhead to capture the motorcade headed to WMMR's Camp Out for Hunger at the sports complex. Our cameras were rolling as one officer swerved to avoid a broken down van in the left lane of I-95. As that officer spun out, another swerved to avoid hitting him.
All right, so listen, these are cops, right? These are cops. They all have walkie-talkies. They talk to each other, right? And these guys are riding in formation. So they don't have a person that was ahead of them and said, hey, there's a broken down van. Maybe stay out of this lane. You can see the inexperiencedness on these guys. If this is what happens when there's a broken down van, I mean, they have spotters and shit riding. You could see them going up and down the pack. So the person that's in the front didn't say, hey, there's a van on the left. Avoid the van. See, these guys try to be something they're not. I mean, I'm not in a motorcycle club. I've spoken to plenty of motorcycle club members, active, inactive, people that still ride. And they say that the cops just don't belong on bikes, especially riding like this, like pretending they're in a club. Because why would they ride like this? I mean, they're not that close together, right? They're not close together like as if like outlaw clubs do. I mean, they're tight. They have a tight group. These guys are just inexperienced. Otherwise, they wouldn't have crashed. I mean, they have spotters. They have people on walkie-talkies. I mean, they're cops. One of the cops in the pack didn't call to these guys and say, hey, there's a van broken down in this lane. They missed that part. Come on. Too busy hitting their helmets. Cop ahead. Yeah, right.
Anytime. Give our law enforcement the space that they need to conduct what they need to do and get to their destination.
Oh, yeah. Give law enforcement the space they need because they didn't run into the person, right? Yeah. So now they're trying to blame it on someone else. Of course they are. Of course they are. I mean, listen, I don't wish anyone to get hurt, but this just shows that they don't belong on motorcycles. They don't belong in motorcycle clubs. They're trying to be something they're not. They want to ride motorcycles on the weekend in these clubs, in these cop clubs, right? And then they want to arrest motorcycle club members on the weekday. It's just a bunch of bullshit. They shouldn't be allowed to join clubs. That's just my 2 cents. What do I know?
Safely. We're live in South Philadelphia.
Did you hear that? That was kind of like throwing a digger, like that it wasn't their fault. Listen to that.
Hey, and it is a great reminder for all of us who are out there on the road at any time. Give our law enforcement the space that they need to conduct what they need to do and get to their destination safely. We're
Yeah. Yep, because it's someone else's fault that they crashed into the back of a fucking van. They couldn't see the van. It was crashed in this lane. It's just crazy. It makes no sense. Blame it on someone else. That's what the cops do, right? Scrap Iron, how you doing? Lindsay, how are you? Thank you for joining me. Let's go. 18,900. Good afternoon, Stacks and chat. Please show support and hit that like button. Share the content and subscribe. I really appreciate it if you do that. Share the content. Let people know. Say, hey, yo, did you see Stacks interviewed the twin dickheads? Maybe they'll come on again and they can answer some. I had a lot of questions for them, but they ended up leaving. That was right at the end of the show when they came on, but it is what it is. But we got a lot of stuff to talk about today. You guys remember when we talked about the Hells Angel hitman that was having problems in a halfway house because people were scared of him? So this guy's back in the news, and can you guess why he's back in the news? Can you guess? He obviously has no compassion, no heart, right? So he's back in the news because he said to the parole board, you guys are focusing too much on the victim. Because he's the victim. Why are you focusing on the victim? It's insane. You can't make this shit up. So the Hells Angel hitman. We're going to get into this one real quick. Hells Angel hitman. Plea falls flat. Parole board stands firm as victim's voice takes center stage. But he said to him, why are you keep talking about the victim? What the fuck? Parole board in Canada has rejected an appeal from convicted Hells Angel hitman Dean Calise, ruling that the victim impact statement did not improperly influenced the decision to revoke his day parole earlier this year. The decision closes as another chapter in the decades-long case that continues to raise questions about remorse, rehabilitation, and the weight of victims' voices in Canada's justice system. Calise, now in his early 50s, is serving a life sentence. So why the fuck, if he's serving a life sentence, why is he granted parole and a day pass to leave the prison? It makes no sense. This guy's such a dangerous person. And he's a Hells Angel hitman, they say. But they give him parole and let him be outside the facility? It makes no sense. The wires are getting crossed somewhere. I don't know where, but so he's serving a life sentence for the October 2000 murder of Sean Simmons, who was shot to death in the lobby of Dartmouth, Nova Scotia apartment building. The killing, prosecutors argued, was a gang-ordered hit carried out because Simmons had an affair with the wife of a Hells Angel member, a betrayal that outlaw motorcycle clubs deem punishable by death. I thought that was only if your brother slept with your girl, right? I thought that was only if one of your brothers slept with your wife. If some other guy does it, is that punishable by death too? I guess so. Apparently to this guy it is. So, allegedly he was sleeping with a Hells Angels member's wife. So more than 24 hours later, Calise's fight is not for the innocence, but for his release. In March, the parole board revoked his day parole after staff and residents in the halfway house reported feeling unsafe around him. His intimidating behavior, threatening comments, and struggle to adjust in a shared living raised red flags. And when no other facility agreed to take him, he returned to prison where he fucking belongs. Calise appealed the decision in June, claiming that the board failed to observe a principle in fundamental justice and paid too much attention to the emotional statement of Simmons' family members who attended the hearing. He argued that the presence was unfairly influenced the board, shadowing his explanations and rehabilitation efforts. But the appeal decision, November 7th decision, firmly rejects the argument. It found no evidence that the board was improperly swayed by the victim's statement, emphasizing that such statements are both legally required and essential for the understanding and enduring consequences of violent crime. Far from dominating the hearing, the board said the family wrote, "We're one factor among many." So they said that this was only one factor among many that made their decision. The real issue, the appeal division determined, is Calise's behavior. In March, parole decisions cited multiple concerns, including Calise's nonverbal intimidation, comments perceived as threatening, the inability to live peacefully with others. Staff noted that despite signing a behavioral contract, he continued to struggle with communication, conflict management, workplace interactions. At the hearing, Calise admitted that he often doesn't realize how intimidating he appears and acknowledged he needs to improve his attitude. Police instead, he insisted that he has changed since his violent past and said that he had no more violence in him since the 2015. He highlighted the recent example in which he defused a conflict with another inmate, portraying that it's evidence of growth. Yet the board pointed to the troubling counterpoints. During the previous attempt at day parole, Calise was convicted of uttering threats, demonstrating an underlying risk remained. Ultimately, the appeal division concluded the original panel had acted reasonably. So he is fucked. It found that Calise's explanations were considered. His right to be heard was respected, and the decision to revoke his release fell squarely within the board's discretion. Given his violent history, the recent behavioral issues, and continued difficulty adjusting outside the prison walls, it was reasonable for the board to have found that he was incapable of modifying his behavior. In the end, Calise's argument, the victims' voices overshadowed his own, failed to convince the board. Instead, the ruling reaffirmed the significance of the victim's participation in the parole hearing and reinforced the obligation to prioritize public safety above all else. For the family of Sean Simmons, the decision represents a measure of stability in the case that has haunted them for nearly a quarter of a century. For Calise, it means remaining behind bars with freedom still out of his reach and the consequences of his past continuing to define his future. So he is going to stay in prison. And that's his own fucking fault. He couldn't get out and act like a normal human being. He had to fucking intimidate people. It's just crazy. You're not gonna intimidate people or from what they perceived, right? And think you're just gonna fucking do what you want. It's just crazy how people think sometimes. Let me see. So, we got some other cases to talk about. Look at this guy. This guy's a great guy, right? You guys bring him over for dinner with the family, right? Why not? These are the people that they're letting in our country. You let your daughter date this guy, right? Come on. Come on. He's not a bad guy. So this guy, a legal gangster with demonic face tattoos wanted for homicide. Arrested on U.S. soil, the Fed said. Notorious criminal on El Salvador's list of most wanted gang members has been taken into custody on the United States soil, according to federal officials. Antonio Quintela was arrested in Maryland earlier this month after police caught him allegedly driving without a license, the Department of Homeland Security said in the news release. Now, these are the types of people that all these protesters are trying to protect. And this is fucking crazy. Like, these are the type of people that will be around your family when you go grocery shopping or you go to Subway or something. You'll see this fucking guy sitting there. What do? Nothing. You deal with it because that's what these people want. You know, they want people like this sitting next to your kids on a city bus. So he was arrested in Maryland. While the arrest marks his first known run-in with the law in the United States, authorities learned that he's wanted in his home country for numerous crimes, including aggravated homicide, extortion, and possession of drugs. 90% of ICE's arrests of the criminal illegal aliens charged or convicted of crimes in the United States. DHS Assistant Security said in a statement, this gang member on El Salvador's most wanted list is a perfect example of ISIS targeting the worst of the worst. He may lack a violent rap sheet in the U.S., but his criminal, illegal alien is clearly a public safety threat. Now, if these are the types of people that you want next to your kids in a city bus, then hey, let them all in. Don't check them. Don't check their past convictions in other countries. Listen, they don't let us, United States citizens, they will not let us just walk into another country and do what we want and jump onto their healthcare system and give us social security numbers. So we shouldn't do it here. There's a process to get into this country. I'm all about people migrating to this country in the right way. They got to check who you are. Otherwise, they will let people like this next to your family. And that's the bottom line. So in his mugshot shows a large 666 tattoo on his forehead. It is also confirmed he's a member of the 18th Street Gang in El Salvador, in which is a designated foreign terrorist organization by Trump administration. Details regarding how he entered into the country were not yet available. The 18th Street Gang is one of the largest gangs in our hemisphere and conducted attacks against security personnel, public officials, citizens in El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, according to a statement from the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio. So we have to watch who the fuck we let in this country. Otherwise, people like that will be running rampant. I mean, hey, if you want those types of people around your family, hey, let them in, right? All these people that are like, oh, let them in. Then you take these people in your house. You let these people around your family. And then we don't want to hear complaining when something happens. Because these people aren't going to change. You know what I'm saying? I don't think this guy has a change in his body. You know what I'm saying? Hey, Chicago Mob Trials, what's going on? We got to do that show, man. Hit me up when this stream is over. Let's get that shit going. Jay says, fuck's sake. Looks like an upstanding citizen, don't he? I mean, why would he do anything bad? He wouldn't do nothing bad. SDMC, what's going on? We got Scrap Iron in the house. Jimmy Mack, what's good? Thank you guys all for joining me today. I mean, there are some good people who are a part of organizations like that, but no. So in other news, there has been a crazy mafia sports betting ring that was dismantled. Little Joe Perna was arrested, along with his whole family, including his ex-wife, his current wife, his kids, his nephews, everybody. All got swept up in this little conspiracy. Things aren't looking good for little Joe Perna. So his father was a legend in the whole mafia realm. Let's see if I can find this shit. So 14 charged in mafia-linked sports betting ring involving college athletes. New Jersey authorities have arrested 14 people in a sports betting ring that prosecutors say blended organized crime methods with modern online gambling and reached deep into college athletes. This case centers around Little Joe Perna, a member of the Lucchese crime family, who investigators say financed and directed a national network of bookmakers and handled nearly $2 million in wagers in 2022 to 2024. According to the New Jersey Attorney General, the operation rallied around offshore betting websites that allows members to place and track wagers while avoiding oversight. Prosecutors allege that several college athletes helped run sports books for groups under Perna's direction. Plankton described to name any schools or sports, saying investigation is ongoing. The NCAA confirmed that it's reviewing the case. Perna, 55, of Fairfield, New Jersey, now faces racketeering, conspiracy, gambling, money laundering charges. Authorities say his son, Joseph R. Perna, managed daily operation, coordinated dozens of sub-agents. Several of Perna's relatives, his brother Anthony, stepbrother Frank Zito, I wonder if any relation to Chuck. His cousins, Dominic Perna, Michael Sita, are accused of acting as bookmakers and collecting payments. 6 other defendants allegedly ran their own sports books under the organization's umbrella. One co-defendant, Spencer Spitzel, is a newly certified NBPA agent. He is listed on the Players Association's directory, but does not have clients, according to sources. Attempts to reach him were unsuccessful. Investigators say that the ring used family-style hierarchy, typical organized crime, with Perna at the top supplying funds, oversight, and protection. Sub-agents controlled customers' accounts, collected debts, and reported earnings. Offshore websites handled the volumes of the betting activity, making the network harder to trace. 14 defendants appeared in court on Thursday for their first hearing. Detention hearings will be scheduled later, according to Teresa Hilton, director of State's Division of Criminal Justice. Plankton said the case shows how illegal gambling networks continued to seek out new participants, including college athletes who may not understand the risks. Who also noted organized crime groups remain active and adaptable, using online tools to expand their reach. The investigation is continuing, and more information about the athletes' involvement is expected to be coming out in the next coming weeks, and we will bring you that information as it becomes available. I got a video to show you guys about this case. Let's check it out.
Of this indictment made by the New Jersey Attorney General here in Newark, which is the home of Port Newark also, where apparently this illegal gambling ring got started, and it is also where crime families are active, according to prosecutors.
Organized crime families seem to have a hard time breaking this old habit. So we're going to break it for them.
New Jersey's Attorney General talks about what investigators call a mob-related sports betting crime ring that processed and profited from some $2 million in illegal bets involving college sports. Detectives from the AG's office, New Jersey State Police, the FBI, and other agencies say that Lucchese crime family soldier Joseph Perna advised his son, also named Joseph Perna, in a gambling ring that began in New Jersey port facilities and spread. It focused on college sports. A dozen other people, including college athletes potentially participating in sports for which they solicited illegal bets, were involved, say investigators, who also say that both the wife and the ex-wife of Joseph Perna were involved, helping to cover up the illegal gambling. Alleged ring members face felony charges of racketeering, conspiracy, gambling offenses, and money laundering.
Subject to 10 to 20 years in state prison.
That's the word from prosecutors like her, who also
Damn.
point something else out. Sports gambling is legal in New Jersey, online and in other forums, just not this one by any.
Wait, so if it's legal, then why are they being arrested? Like, okay, it's legal, but not this form of gambling? Like, come on. Like, are they playing tit for tat? Like, what the fuck? It's okay for other people to do it. It's okay for other companies to open gambling operations, but it's not okay for citizen to go do that. Like, I don't get it. Where is the disconnect coming in? I don't understand. If it's legal, what's the problem?
That's the word from prosecutors like her, who also point something else out. Sports gambling is legal in New Jersey, online and in other forums, just not this one by any means.
Any college student listening, yes, you can, if you're of age, you can gamble on your phones if you're in the state of New Jersey. You should not be gambling in a mob-backed operation. That's free parental advice.
Again, the Attorney General saying that the Lucchese crime family involved in this gambling ring, you may recall that that is the same organized crime family mentioned in relation to an NBA-related gambling ring in New York that involved Hall of Famer Chauncey Billups and players Damon Jones and Terry Rozier. I asked the Attorney General if there might be some connection. His response: this is still under investigation.
So we'll see what happens with that case. I think it's just crazy. Yeah, you're right. It's not registered with the state. They don't pay the taxes and all that. I understand that, but damn, the shit's legal. Like, so, I mean, it's just crazy. But it's okay for the state to do it, right? It's okay for the state to do it and the government. Why not? They can do whatever the fuck they want. They don't need permission. They do whatever the fuck they want. I think all of them are corrupt. All of them. Both sides. Not just one. I think they're all corrupt. Mountain Woman, how you doing? So, it's just crazy. Insane. So today, the topic at hand, we're here to talk about this guy. Former member of the Outlaws. So, he is convicted of killing this woman. So, he was married, and he was in love with this girl. He was going to leave his wife for this woman. I'm not really sure on what transpired and why that didn't happen. But he ended up killing her. We're going to talk about that case today. Now, that's him crying up on the top left after he got convicted. Now, this happened 8 years ago. Her name was Katie Kearns. She died 8 years ago. So it says, what became of the Joliet Outlaw murder defendant, Jeremy Boshears? Joliet, Illinois, 8 years ago. This week, on November 12th, 2017, Jeremy Boshears of the Joliet Outlaws Motorcycle Club and a fellow member, Colby O'Neal, patronized Woody's bar in Joliet while Katie Kearns tended bar. After leaving Woody's, the two men drove separately back to their Outlaws clubhouse in Engels Park area of Joliet's east side. 45 minutes later, Kearns arrived there too. The defendants were infatuated with Kearns, or the defendant was infatuated with Kearns, and he was contemplating leaving his wife for her. The defendant's search history, it said, I found the one, but I'm married. And when the time comes, I'm leaving a long-term relationship. Court records from January show. Boshears let Kearns know that he wanted to make her his queen, and she touched his soul, according to 330 text messages Boshears sent to Kearns. including one reading, "I want you and only you." Inside the clubhouse, Kearns began receiving text messages from her ex-boyfriend. So they were all sitting there together, them three, right? Inside this clubhouse. She starts receiving text messages from her ex-boyfriend. Now, this happened around 1:45. So the ex-boyfriend starts sending sexual in nature texts around 1:45 a.m. And by 2 p.m., O'Neal began driving home back in Sensia. That left two people at the motorcycle clubhouse, Kearns and Boshears. Kearns kept receiving text messages from her ex-boyfriend until around 2:08 a.m. Then he called her at 2:16 a.m. You know, he was probably drunk, like, hey, you know the deal. As for Boshears, over the next 90 minutes, defendant made over 30 phone calls to various outlaw members. One phone call defendant placed was to O'Neal. The defendant requested O'Neal to return to the clubhouse, court records showed. Inside the clubhouse, Kearns, 24, was dead from a gunshot wound. During the early morning hours of November 13th, 2017, Boshears and O'Neal met with Outlaws president Jimmy McCoy, along with fellow outlaw Corey Espland. They rolled Kearns' body inside a pool cover and placed it in the back of Kearns' vehicle, court records revealed. The defendant drove Kearns' vehicle to a residence on Ronald and Georgia Kegel in Kankakee, Illinois, which is approximately 50 miles from the clubhouse. Let me see. I'll show you guys if it'll let me show you. It won't let me show you. I'll try to show you guys in a minute. So they rolled her up and put her in the back of this vehicle, right? It was like a Jeep Cherokee. Ron Kegel was the previous president for the Joliet Outlaws. At the farm property at Kankakee County, the defendant did not tell Ronald that Kearns' body was inside the vehicle. The defendant, Ronald, and Georgia pushed Kearns' vehicle into the barn. Ronald then drove the defendant to the residence, according to court documents. On November 15, 2017, Will County Sheriff's detectives found Kearns' body in the barn. She died from a gunshot wound to the head. That same day, back in Joliet, Boshears and O'Neal patronized various Joliet retail stores, purchasing cleaning products and a smoke detector. They returned to the clubhouse to clean it and place a smoke detector over a bullet hole in the wall. By November 18th, police found that the Outlaws Clubhouse ceiling was cleaned with bleach and had a new smoke detector covering the bullet hole. The bullet fragment was recovered from inside the ceiling rafters, and it came from a .45 caliber handgun. Since being charged with first-degree murder and the concealment of a homicide, Boshears retrained downtown Joliet lawyer. He retained a Joliet lawyer, Chuck Brentz, during his April and May 2022 jury trial. Boshears testified in his defense, claiming that Kearns grabbed a loaded handgun that one of his fellow Joliet outlaws left behind at the clubhouse bar and shot herself in the head as she begged her not to do it. Now, why would she do that? Come on. She's getting messages, right, from her ex-boyfriend. And all of a sudden, she reaches over, grabs the gun, and he's like, don't do it, don't do it. The defense's position was that the defendant nearly moved Kearns' body because he had to, because of the outlaw's bylaws. In Illinois District Appeals announced in January, the state rejected his explanation and referenced the text message the defendant sent to Kearns about 4 hours after moving her body, in which it stated, "I hope you made it home okay." So he wrote that to her after she was already dead. Let me see. I'm going to get you guys this picture. I got a picture of her and him and the guy O'Neal. Hold on. I got a picture of her, him, and the guy O'Neal at the bar. You guys know she's a bartender, so she's tending bar. I'm trying to get you guys this. Give me 1 second. Doing it as fast as I can. But I'll get you guys this picture. I want you guys to see this. So the ex-boyfriend is sending sexual in nature, right? And so what do you, I want to know what your opinion is. Do you think that when the ex-boyfriend was sending these messages, right? Do you think this guy Boshears got mad and took it out on her? Okay, why are you getting these messages? And boom, takes it out on her because she's getting messages that are sexual in nature from her ex-boyfriend. But he claims that she just grabbed the weapon off of the bar that's another member left there, right? He's blaming it on another member that left a weapon at the bar. And he says that she just took it and did it to herself. All right, I got the pictures. So here's a picture of her and O'Neal in the bar before she's unalived. Her, O'Neal, and Boshears. That's her on the right. In May of 2022, Will County jury found Boshears guilty of first-degree murder, guilty of concealment of a homicide. However, Will County Circuit Judge did not move forward with the sentencing. Instead, he allowed Boshears to remain in county jail while working on his appeal. In January 2024, shortly before Carlson left the bench, that's the judge, to return to private practice of law, he vacated Boshears' conviction and ordered a new trial. Then, citing the new Safety Act, Carlson ordered Boshears released. But before Boshears walked out of the Will County jail, Will County State's Attorney's Office, Jim Glasgow, filed an appeal to a new judge who replaced Carlson, Jessica Sari. On May 20th, 2024, Judge Cologne ruled proof was evidence or presumption greater. The defendant committed a detainable offense. Defendant posed a real and present threat to any persons or persons of the community. She also labeled Boshears a flight risk, noted that the state met its burden of proof that the defendant committed these offenses by clear and convincing evidence, noting how extreme defendant was acting, willing to act in not following the law, cleaning up the crime scene, wrapping the body, putting the body in a vehicle, traveling to another town, leaving the body there. The 3rd District Appeals judge explained. The court also noted that since the jury had already returned a guilty verdict, the defendant's risk of flight was great. So they did return a guilty verdict in this case, but he was never sentenced. So they found him guilty. That's the picture there on the left, where him crying, right? But they never sentenced him. The judge never sentenced him in this case. So here's a picture of the truck with her body in the back of it, wrapped in garbage bags. So that's the problem with this, right? Is 8 years ago this happened, and he's still in jail. And this is one of the longest cases where the person is not sentenced. Also noted jury returned guilt verdict. So he's a flight risk, right? In this year's ruling issued on January 15th, 3 judges from the appellate courts, Illinois' 3rd District, they ruled that Judge Colon did not inhere and vacate Judges Carlson's prior pretrial release orders of Boshears. We find the court did not abuse its direction by detaining defendant. First, proof was evident defendant committed the detainable offense, where the evidence demonstrated defendant met with Kearns at the clubhouse. The defendant had a romantic interest in Kearns. Kearns was contacted various times by an ex-boyfriend that night. The defendant was seen with a firearm that night. Kearns died while at the clubhouse was a result of a gunshot wound to her head. On the final page of its 10-page ruling, the 3 appeals judges noted, we reject the defendant's position that the judge who presided over his jury trial and granted him a pretrial release was in a better position to make a ruling on the state's petition to detain, or should be afforded more deference. First, the judge failed to make an adequate finding and then retired from the bench. The only option was for the new hearing on the state's petition to detain be held before a different judge. As it stands, despite having his guilty verdict overturned, Boshears remains one of the longest serving inmates inside the Wills County Jail. January will mark 2 full years since Carlson overturned his guilty verdicts, yet Boshears still does not have a date set for a second murder trial. This year, back in the courtroom, 502 of Judge Colon, there have been a handful of court orders of consequence. Back in late March, judge agreed that Brett's motion seeking permission to appoint an expert witness and provide Will County funded expert fees due to his client being indigent. The judge granted Brett's motion for the appointment of Jeffrey Gervis as the defendant's bloodstained pattern analyst. The county of Will is ordered to pay a sum of $3,000 for initial retainer for Mr. Garvis for services rendered as the matter, the judge ordered. At the end of July, Judge Cologne issued her second order granting Brett's latest request. Brett's had asked the judge for permission to appoint another expert to provide expert fees due to Boshears being indigent. According to Judge Cologne's order, Microtrace base in England was now appointed as Boshears' gunshot residue expert. The county of Will is ordered to pay a sum of $2,800 initial retainer for Microtrace for services rendered as a matter. The third and most recent order came at the end of September. It involves health issues facing Boshears at Williams County Jail. The defendant's motion for entry of order is granted. The defendant is to receive any and all personal radiology reports recession of Will County Adult Detention Facility related to August 25th, May 29, 2025, including records from St. Joseph Medical Center in Joliet. These records are to be kept in an exclusive control of the defendant. The Judge Cologne ruled on September 26. Boshears' next appearance in the courtroom 502 is set for November 21st, which is next Friday. There's no indication that Judge Cologne will set a new trial date before the end of this year. So this guy, for now, this guy's just going to sit in prison. So what do you guys think of this case? That's him when he got convicted. I believe this is him now. And that's him crying on the top left when he was convicted. So apparently what happened was him, Boshears, and another outlaw member are with them at the bar. With them three. You see them. These two guys leave, go to the Outlaws Clubhouse. She follows them. They're at the Outlaws Clubhouse. She's getting calls and text messages from her ex-boyfriend wanting to probably get together and, be romantic. Boshears sees, or she tells him about these calls. He gets mad, pulls a gun out, and unalives her. But that's after the other guy, O'Neal, already leaves the clubhouse. I don't know whatever happened to O'Neal's and the other members that he claimed left the weapon at the bar, but I'm going to look into it and find out what happened. And I'll bring you guys that information as it becomes available. Outlaws paid the outgoing judge, it sounds like. Who knows? Joliet Outlaws have storied past. I grew up in some of those guys. Even Chicago left them alone. They always leave their gun at the bar. Yeah, people always leave their gun on the bar, right? And then, but for him to blame it on another member, right? Oh, someone left their gun on the bar. He can't be still in the club, right? I mean, crazier things have happened, right? Yeah, Joliet has a long history. Oh, shit. Breaking news just in. A body was found near Mansfield boat launch, identified as a person who had been missing since 2004. Holy shit. Damn. This is breaking news. This is out of Connecticut. Remains found in Mansfield boat launch belongs to a man who's been missing since 2004, troopers say. Mansfield, Connecticut. That's near the Yukon College campus in Connecticut. It's out in the woods, the top right corner of the state. Human remains discovered at a boat launch in Mansfield were that of a man who disappeared more than 20 years ago, police announced. So if you guys don't know, I was up in jail, well, a prison up there in Mansfield, right next to the college campus. I did a little bit of time up there. So it was a man who was missing 20 years ago. They said the remains were identified as Robert Caverhan, who's reported missing December 24th, 2004. Troopers said the remains were found floating in the water of a Mansfield Hollow Lake on October 5th, 2025. Divers recovered additional remains as well as submerged vehicles, state police revealed. Along with the vehicle, detectives said they found parking passes, a name tag, and a license plate. The vehicle was a 1996 Mazda B2300 pickup truck that belonged to Caverhan. At the time of his disappearance, the man is believed to have left a S note, they said. The Office of the Medical Examiners confirmed November 13th that the remains were of this man. So it's pretty wild news. Hey, Travis, what's good? Thank you for joining me today. So we got a really good interview that's dropping tonight, if you guys aren't aware. Chino B. He's an ex-Dirty Ones member. If you guys know who the Dirty Ones are. He tells me a lot of good stories. That one's going to be dropping at 10 o'clock. It's pretty good. Let me see. I'll play you guys a short. Check it out. Shock when you go over to Afghanistan.
I went to Afghanistan in 2011 to 2012. I did get blown up, but my favorite experiences were being a shooting instructor for the range. So I got to teach the coaches how to teach the Marines how to shoot. So that was my favorite experience.
Is it culture shock when you go over to Afghanistan?
Yes. You do have a lot of training. They teach you that all the people out there are bad guys, kind of brainwash you and stuff. So you go out there and you have to deal with a lot of desert. You have this mindset that you could get hurt at any moment, right? So yeah, there's a culture shock. It's
What was it like starting a support club?
So I started a support club, and I had to go through all the motions.
So you can't just go out, throw a patch on a cut, right?
Just have to
Outlaw
deal with
Brotherhood did,
consequences
right?
afterwards. I did get blown up, but
Is it culture shock when you go over to Afghanistan? So stay tuned for that one. It's a really good interview. I think it's 4 or 5 parts, and they're longer than normal. So, and if you want to see it first, join the membership, and you could watch it right now. I appreciate all you guys. If you want to donate to the show, you can head up to Cash App and Chatting with Stacks. I appreciate every single dollar. It goes a long way. You can hit up the Venmo, PayPal, Super Sticker, Super Chats, Zelle. There's links in the description of this video. I got a major interview that I'm going to be doing possibly tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. If you want to tell your story on Chat with Stacks, hit up my email at billstacks2021@gmail.com and we'll make it happen. I can't promise you that I'll put you on, but we could discuss it. Thank you guys. I hope you guys have a great Friday. Stay safe. If you like this show, hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can get my videos every time they drop. And if you don't like this show, too fucking bad. Start your own podcast. I can't play the outro because the thing's frozen, so it is what it is. I don't even know where the hell the outro video is. But yeah, I can't play it because it's frozen. But thank you guys. I hope you have a great day. There's a lot of great content on the way. So stay tuned. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys later. Don't be a bitch.